This podcast was produced as part of the exhibition All Eyes on Palestine in Athens. The event is promoted by the Meta Center for Post-Capitalist Civilization, and it is curated by me, Eletta Stamboulis, with the co-curatorship of two artists, Doris Hakim and Dana Estratou. The exhibition will be traveling through Europe. Today we have the honor to host Rana Bishara, an artist who is living now in the occupied territories. She is speaking from her home, I think. Hi, Rana. We are very happy to see you, to listen to you. And I would like to start this conversation with you from this very simple question. Why did you decide to be an artist? How it happens and which path you decided to work on?
Hi, and thank you for hosting me. And it's my honor and my pleasure to be with you. And I'm coming from Galilee, northern Palestine on the Lebanese border, just to make sure that this part of Palestine is still with a big amount of Palestinians living inside historic Palestine, but we are holding forcefully the Israeli passport. And so we are actually remaining in our land. So the name of my village is Tarshiha, and it was the last village to fall in 1948 in October 29th, 29th. So I didn't choose to be an artist, honestly. After thinking about that a long time ago, I think art came to me to save my life, to save my memory, and to save my dignity. Art is my surrender. I was engaged in art while I was a child. I'm coming from a family of goldsmiths. Seeing my dad working with gold and silver, and being as a child there, watching him, I got this inspiration of to be an artist, to be the sensitive person who is taking care of small things. It happened to be that I'm lucky enough to have my dad and my father to give me one step at a time to work with art. Living in this area is like, it's a beautiful area in Galilee. So also it was a big part of my life to live here in the mountains. It inspires me to be an artist as well. But at the same time, the landscape here is also beautiful. I was enjoying that as an honest, sincere child, little girl wandering in the mountains and going every day with my dad to pick cactus, to pick olives, and my mom and my family, and my dad and my family. So it's very, very romantic. At the same time, once you realize how risky to live here, you become really shocked, and then you start dealing with these images. For example, the olive trees. I'm really fascinated by the olive trees, fascinated by the cactus that is surrounding our villages and towns. And the 16th of September is the memory of commemorating the Sabra and Shatila massacre. And I was 11 years old when I woke up into this weeping in our village, the pain and of hearing the news from that there's a massacre in Sabra and Shatila. I was 11, and we in our village we marched for this horrific event, this massacre, this horrendous atrocity. We were marching from the church to the mosque because we are Christians and Muslims, holding coffins and marching. That was the memory of Sabra and Shatila. This is where I started with art. That's why I started connecting things, and also living on the Lebanese border. We had also the Katyusha falling around our villages. So I started asking the big questions. On the 30th anniversary of Sabra and Shatila, I was invited to Paris to do the monument of Sabra and Shatila in Bagnolet, in Château de l'Étang in Bagnolet. That's why I hold all this memory for a long time, and then I designed and I created with two French artists this monument. So this is how things happened. I didn't decide. It became part of my life to depict the pain and the suffering and the daily memory and what I hold. So I think it's part of who I am. I'm actually engaged in all these things.
So what is your part of Palestinian identity? And also, may I add also, do you think that your practice in art could be labeled as feminist?
What we are fighting every day, that they want to erase us. Every second, they want to remind you that you are not welcomed in your home, in your own land. It's so systematic that you don't even realize it until you grow up and you understand with whom you are dealing. And nowadays, you walk around and you find somebody who is with an M16 walking into your clinic, walking into an Arab doctor's clinic. Being a Palestinian in 48 is a big challenge. Each one of us has his own challenge in Gaza, in the West Bank, in 48, and in the diaspora. So each one has his own package. As a Palestinian here living, I'm going to tell you about that. I feel responsible for holding into this memory, holding the memory of my grandmother, grandfather, my father, and my family now. It's a big load, but I have to deal with it. I don't have a choice but to remember, but to depict, but to record. But with my artwork, one of the examples I did maybe 25 years ago, I took like a glass book and I recorded the names of villages and towns. It's a glass book written with ink. You can see the Nakba, the Palestinian catastrophe, in one shot. You can see the names of the villages piling, and piling. And these days, you have to add the Gaza catastrophe. And so this was a big piece of my memory to make sure that it's a document. It's a very important document for me because it's very fragile, and the fragility of this book actually gives the responsibility for the authority. What do we do with that? Where do we go with this memory? If the glass book will break, then what? And this is actually depicting us as humans. If we break, we lose everything. No, that's why I think art keeps me resisting through art and resisting through my memory and for the new generation to come, because what we are living these days, they want you to forget. They want this rapid life of surrendering to social media and all that, and forget about the real cause, the root cause of the problem. That's why I insist in these days to give the new generation the hope, and I keep actually making sure that the new generation that I also teach, I also take part in the educational system at the university. That's why I taught at Al-Quds University and Dar al-Kalima University for a while. Through my art, I did many things that make sure that if I'm gone, it will be there, because you are always losing things. Recording these moments of loss, it will tell you all about what has been happening. If I forget about that, the new generation wouldn't learn this part of history. For example, one of the other pieces is homeless pillows. Homeless pillows, I make sure that I created like a pillow, a normal pillow that has a head and a neck that sleeps on itself. Because if you are losing your land, you're losing everything. That's why the new generation, it's very important to go on a march of return, to educate people, to give your art within the street, within your protests, and within you. So I march with these a bunch of pillows that people can carry and hold into their body, and march with them to our destroyed villages. You have to be engaged in your community. You have to be engaged in your protests, to educate people and to bring the art into the community, into the street, because unfortunately, as Palestinians, we don't have many resources. We don't have museums and galleries, especially in 48. We have few here and there, but I decided to take off to the streets and be among my people and give them the hope. The visual part of of my art is very important for the people, that they will realize that nothing is going to be forgotten. For example, I do my performances as well in the streets to actually encourage people not to forget and to get courage, especially these days. We are being oppressed, we are being beaten in the streets, we are actually banned from demonstrations. So for me, being in the street with my body, it's very important. I talk about many things. I tackle many problems. I get also called for interrogation and investigations, but I keep going. This is what they want you. They want to scare you not to talk and not to make recording of these moments. So I make sure that despite the fact that I'm really sometimes you get exhausted and you get scared, but you have to keep going.
You said that you use your body as part of your art. That's why I asked you before if you think that we can label your art as feminist, because this is something that has, it is very typical, it is very connaturated to feminist practices in art.
For me, it's very feminine, very, very important with my body to be there, to exist, to resist. Actually, in fact, it comes from the strength of my grandmothers, two grandmothers. And I think I hold to her memory and my grandmother, from my father's side and my mother's side. But my father's side, she walked into Lebanon, to the Lebanese border. She walked into Lebanon and she brought her sons and daughters back. That's why I feel like she is a strong woman and she is an iron woman that she did that. And I think I keep dragging these memories with me into the art field, into the street. And I think femininity is about existence, about being there, about the body of the woman is very strong. Being here and living in such turmoil or area, you don't even think about it, but you live it. It's part of who you are. You don't have to philosophize your femininity, but you live it. You make sure that you exist there and you leave your traces there. My touch as an artist, as a woman as well, brings hope to the world. I think it's very very much who I am. One day I was arrested from, why I'm mentioning that, because I was arrested from a demonstration in Haifa. And once I was released, and the lawyer who actually defended me and two other young Palestinian women, she said, Rana, I was glad that you are inside. And I said, how come? She said that the mothers of the two young Palestinians, they were very concerned. And immediately when I talked to them, I said, don't worry, they have a mother with them inside. It was very, very touching for me to feel like I'm really, like embracing this new generation. One of them, she had an attack and, like a panic attack. And it was good for me to be around her, to embrace her. And another young woman, the other day, she was in the demonstration and she said, I look up to you. I don't know you, but at the same time, it's very important to see a woman who is in the middle age, mid age, and she is in the street. And actually, it gives me the power to come and demonstrate. I feel like safe around you, which is amazing, like to be a woman and to be a mature woman who is resisting, never surrender, never give up, to be around.
What you have said just now is really part of the feminist talk and the feminist practices. For me, feminism is a practice,
Exactly.
not words.
Exactly.
Then we need also words because they are important to say what we are doing, but the practice came first.
Yes.
And so, Rana, I'd like to ask you something about something that you told me before, that you did a performance in Haifa recently. Can you say to us something more? Because, of course, you said before that every Palestinian experience being of the 48 generation, so of the occupied nation. It is interesting for us just to know what is happening also, and if there is a discussion inside the art world, the Israeli art world, about what is happening.
I'm still living the trauma. Still, like, the trauma is a never-ended trauma. To come back and face it again once you are mature and you know everything, it's very challenging. And that's what I'm facing these days, because you are traumatized. If I listen to a siren outside of my door now, I assume they are coming to arrest me. When you are leaving your house to go to a demonstration, you make sure that your key is with your friend, that if in case you were arrested, there's somebody will take care of your family or your cats or something. It's the trauma is there. You're holding the trauma of your grandmothers and your father and all that. So it's an ongoing, it never stops. The trauma is never stops there. But at the same time, what do you do with that? If you surrender and sit at home and being terrified, this is what has been happening to most of our nation, most of our people in 48, because we have been going through a lot of phases of the occupation in 48, the martial laws in the 70s, and of course the many wars that has happening here. And nowadays also in 4 years ago in the uprising of May, many people were arrested, and until now they are being sentenced, being actually in court. They pick on a few figures of the Palestinians, big figures like doctors, lawyers, and singers, and artists, vocalists. For example, Dalal Abu Amni, one of the amazing artists that she has been really performing, she wrote a quote from the Quran, Allah Ghalib, yani. By writing that on her profile, I cannot even mention what they did to her. They actually had a big hit on her. They sent people, some of the people, she's a doctor, she's a PhD holder for brain science, and she's a singer. And she is living in a mixed city of Afule, and her husband is a doctor as well. And they come every day next to their home, chanting very bad chants and naming them names and calling them names and threatening them to be killed or to be jailed. Or so this is that part of things. Yet another professor at the Hebrew University, Professor Nader Shalhoub, she signed a petition to end the war. Okay, and she's a professor at the Hebrew University that she talks about occupation and about the experience of children in the old city of Jerusalem, and she wrote many books about that, and she actually created this unchilding term about the unchilding of Palestinian children. They forced her to resign from her position after 35 years. They took her to court, they jailed her. So this is the type of things for artists, for professors, for doctors. If a nurse writes a status on her profile in 48, she will get arrested, she will get interrogated. Me, I was interrogated 3 times with the Shabak, and then I was taken from 2 of the demonstrations and put in jail for 1 night or 2 nights. What do you do with all that? How do you deal with that? How do you continue? And I think it's part of the resistance to continue and to keep going and to make sure that you are not afraid. It's my responsibility to keep going. But at the same time, the people here are traumatized, are scared. And if they, in my case, I have no job, no official job as in an official institution. I carry the Israeli passport, but they cannot actually fire me from anywhere. That's why I chose to be an artist. At the same time, doctors, nurses. One of my friends, he also talked about the doctors. He is a doctor, he's a pediatrician. He was talking about, for a long time, he was writing about the occupation and the effect of the occupation about children in a private interview or a private meeting. He was talking about the situation in Gaza. He mentioned something and they hit on him and he had to resign.
He has to come in Italy. there is a lot of work here. No, there
Yes,
are no
yes,
doctors.
yes. I
I'm
know.
joking, of
And
course,
the thing,
but
yeah, of course.
if you start, pushing away anybody, but in particular
Mm,
doctors, teachers,
exactly.
professors, artists, something in your inside society is ill, is
It's
very ill,
exactly.
and you are in the final stage, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, like one day I went to a doctor. In the waiting room, you find somebody who is holding an M16 in your face. Why are you coming to a Palestinian doctor? You are coming to seek help, to seek treatment, and you are holding your M16 with you. The last 2 years, it has been really traumatized. I'm not sure how I'm actually able to talk about it now. Many rockets fall in our village, in my village. About 10 rockets fall in our village. And this is not many people know about what has been happening to us in 48. There were like 3 women were killed with the rockets from coming foreign from Iran, because we have also the Iron Dome, the so-called the Iron Dome. They will never use it when it comes to our area. One day, just one block down my house, is the rocket fall there, and of course they closed the area. We never knew what is the type of rocket was falling there, and of course it's either it is the Iron Dome rocket or the one from Iran, but they never actually intercepted. They let it fall on us, and that happened in many cases in our villages. Most of the casualties are Palestinians at 48. There was a journalist, when one young man above our house here was hit directly with the rocket, and he basically, he was shattered. I went there. It's our friends, and I see a journalist, an Israeli journalist, and he was carrying the mic. But I look closely, and he is carrying an M16. How are you like a journalist, and you have to give report, with your moral, and you are holding the M16 in at the same time. I was listening to what he was reporting, and he never mentioned that there was rockets falling because of the lack of protection on our villages. In the Israeli settlements around us, they have safe rooms, they have shelters. We are actually taking hostages under this. So I asked him, how come you are like, don't you think that you are holding an M16 in our face is criminal? Why are you coming with your M16? And he never knew what to answer. And he said, well, I am also a soldier. I said, how many hats do you wear a day? That's why your people are killing our journalists in Gaza. About 200 it was that time. And that's why your journalists go to South Lebanon and bomb houses. You are actually making sure that you are enjoying your killing. And he never knew it. He was on air actually. So I mean, your life is so complicated and so layered that you don't even know how to continue. But you keep resisting, and you keep going, and you have to do art as well. But for me, art has been marginalized the last 2 years. In order to comprehend what is happening and to express it, it's very, very difficult. That's why I decided to do this art piece in the street, and because they have been chasing us in all the demonstrations at 48. They one more example, that a lawyer who has been defending Palestinian prisoners. The first demonstration went on in Al-Fahim, one of the major cities. They took him, they jailed him for over half a year, and he is still ongoing with the procedure. That's why I actually took one big canvas, and I wanted to do an art piece, because every time we start chanting in Haifa, we are actually Palestinians and some of the liberal, non-Zionist Jewish young people who are actually refusing to serve in the army. They actually joined us in many of the demonstrations. So in many cases, we are being actually arrested while protesting. So we decided to take part, to change our strategy, not only to chant, to do art pieces in the street. So one of the pieces I did is a big, large canvas, and I started drawing the starved people, the starved children, and they were also chanting nationalistic songs. So actually, we bought time at the demonstration but last time, like last week, they were really vicious, and we have to figure out how to deal with that. Some people are reading poetry, some people are holding other art pieces. So we are trying, but it's not easy.
It's not. But it is interesting what you're saying, because one of the article that always I'm referring, speaking about art and protest, is one article David Graeber wrote about the protest against in the no global, let's say, movement in the US, where the use of this spectacular artistical performance helped not to be beaten, because police authorities are very often disoriented. They are not prepared. I think it is important to find also different strategies, as you are saying, that are using also art to resist, to avoid the clash, to protect yourself, and to try to deliver a different message. So thank you, Rana. Thank you, Rana, very much for being with us in this exhibition. And I hope to see you in person in Athens.
Yes, I'm looking forward for that, and really thrilled, and it's very important for all of us to keep resisting, because we have no other choice, to be or not to be. Most of I have to send my love and my care and my all my energy, good energy, to my friends in Gaza, because what is amazing about that, I'm resisting in a very easy place, but they are resisting in their tents, they are resisting under the rockets, under the vicious, most vicious Holocaust. I don't even call it ethnic cleansing or a genocide. It's a Holocaust. It's sick. It is actually barbaric, and I have to say that. So what they are doing there in their tents, they are painting and they are resisting, and I really admire them. I actually I have to send my good energy for them to continue and to be safe, inshallah. Thank you for doing all this amazing work, and art is very important, and I hope it will save us all. And humanity is not going to be saved if Palestinians are not going to be saved. I think it's a big test for all the world. Thank you for all what you're doing.
Indeed. Thank you, Rana, again.
Thank you.
The interviews with the selected artists aim to amplify their voices, thoughts, lives, and practices. What does it mean to be an artist today while the genocide in Gaza and the urbicide in the West Bank are still ongoing, while the very right of the Palestinian people to exist is being denied? What is the role of art when the machinery of evil operates relentlessly? Can Guernica stop a soldier's hand, or can it only document reality? These far from simple questions will be the foundation of this journey. The goal is also to chart a map and a landscape of these extraordinary artists, the vast majority of whom live in forced diaspora.